Again, you will need a calculator for what we're doing today. This is a reminder about the bathroom pass. If you need to use the restroom, that is fine. But you need to write your name and the time that you left on the backboard. So the first question on the worksheet, it says determine the slope and the y-intercept for each line, then find which equation is parallel to the graph of y is equal to 2x and which one is perpendicular. So you should look at your notes from last time. So from last time, it's actually 2 times ago when we talked about parallel and perpendicular. But what do we know about parallel lines? What do we know about their slope? The slopes of parallel lines are the same. So if this is the equation that we're comparing everything to, we need to know what the slope is of that line. So the slope of this line right here, what is it? What's the slope of that line? Y is equal to 2x. Mm-hmm. So it is 2/1 or just 2. Juliet said that parallel lines, so when we look for something parallel, it needs to be the same. So it will also have to be 2. Does anybody remember about perpendicular lines? What does their slope look like? It's flipped and it's opposite sign. So if the original slope is 2, then we have to flip it. So it will be 1/2, and we have to make it negative. So I'm going to go through the first 2 with you. So to remember, let me add a. As we figure these out, when they're written in standard form like this, you can cover up one part. And so to figure out what x equals, then you just divide. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. To figure out the y part, which is actually the b, you can cover up the x part. And so we would have to divide by -1. What's 4 divided by -1? -4. To figure out the slope, so for this equation, we're going through the through the origin, but to figure out the slope, you can figure out y/x. So that becomes -4/1. So is -4/1 either one of these? The one we're trying to figure out is either this one or this one. Is it either one of those? -4/1 is equal to 2. It doesn't have to be either one, so it's neither. We're going to check the second line. So we're going to figure out what is x equal. I'm going to cover up my y part. So I get 2 divided by 2. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cover up my x. What's 2 divided by -2? -1. My slope, I'm going to do y/x. So I get -1/1. Is that either one of those? Is it parallel or perpendicular? No, it has to equal either 2 or negative 1/2. It's neither one of those. All right. More often than not, it's not going to be those. Those are special cases, but we're checking anyways. All right, so for this one, what is x equal to? 2, very good. And we shift it over. 4 divided by negative 1. Close. Negative 4. So for our slope, we get negative 4 divided by 2. Does that reduce? Yeah, so it's still going to be negative. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. Ooh, that's getting close. It's negative 2. It's still neither though, because negative 2 is not equal to 2. It needs to be either 2 or negative 1/2. So it's still neither. So we did 3 of these together. You only have 2 more. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to see if you can finish up the last 2. Probably since everything has been neither, probably the last 2 are either parallel or perpendicular. Did you figure out one of them to be parallel and one of them to be perpendicular? Yes? No? Good. Next, down at the bottom, it says find the x and y intercept to determine the slope. So that's the same thing that we just did at the top of the page. And then determine how many solutions each system has. So to determine the amount of solutions, this is the paper that I just passed back. It talks about whether you have no solutions because you're parallel, whether you have one solution because they intersect, or you have infinitely many solutions because they're actually the same exact line. So we're going to go through and we're going to do a few of these, and it's going to be the same way that our first step will be to figure out what our x and our y are. So for the first one, if I cover up the y part, X will be 12 divided by 4, so X would be equal to 3. And I gotta leave myself space because I gotta do the same thing for the bottom equation. Oops. But I'm gonna scoot this over now. And then I get 12 divided by -3. And then I'll figure out the slope. So the slope would be -4/3. Does that reduce? Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing to figure out my X and my Y for the second equation. So if I cover up Y, I get -24 divided by -8. So X is equal to +3. And then I get -24 divided by 6. So I get Y is equal to -4. So for this one, I get -4/3. The two things that I have to look at are what is the y-intercept and what is the slope. So when I look here at the y-intercepts, are they the same or different? Same. And what about the slope? Same. When you have a pair of equations and they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, look at your chart. We wrote it down. How many solutions will we have? Infinitely many. If they are the same slope and the same y-intercept, they are actually the same exact line. So there are infinitely many solutions. There are infinitely many solutions. For question, oh, did I skip? Okay, never mind. So for the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. I get -12 divided by 4. All of these numbers, by the way, are pretty much going to be 3 and 4. It's just whether or not they're positive or negative. So -12 divided by 4, I get X is equal to -3. And then I get Y is equal to +4 because it's negative divided by negative, so it'll be +4. So my slope will be 4/-3. For my second one, negative divided by a negative will be a positive. And then I get negative divided by a positive, so it'll be negative. So this one is -4 divided by 3. And we need to compare them. So the slope, or sorry, the y-intercepts, are they the same or different? Different. Different. What about my slopes? Are they though? Whether you have a negative on the top or the bottom, if there's one negative, it's still going to be the same thing. So the negative can be on the top or it can be on the bottom. They end up being exactly the same because when we go to do slope, the negative always goes to the top. So these are actually the same. So if you have two equations and they go through a different y-intercept, but they have the same slope, how many solutions are there? If they have the same slope, they are parallel. And if they're parallel, are parallel lines ever going to intersect? No, so there are no solutions. You can abbreviate solution. So to give you an idea of the picture, the first one, if they're the same y-intercept, same slope, you get this situation where it's the same line. The second one, it's different y-intercepts, but they have the same slope. So they're never going to intersect. They're different. If you're struggling with this, make sure you draw a picture that can help you. I was going to do the third one with you, so let me just copy it so I can. Okay, we'll do the next one. So I'm going to write the values up on the board. Space it out. There we go. I'm going to write the values up on the board. I want you to write them on your paper. Let's see if we get the same thing. So on your paper, you should be like using your finger to cover up the X or cover up the Y so you don't get confused. This is what I got. Is this what you got? All right, what is a negative over a negative? What's a negative divided by a negative? A positive. So this actually becomes 4 over 3. These are the same. But these are different. So if you have the same y-intercept, but you have a different slope, just means that you happen to cross the y-axis at the same spot, but you have different slopes. So how many solutions do you have? One. Sure. So you guys are going to do the next 3. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do so. It's going to take you a minute, so I'll give you more time. Yes, write your name on the back wall and take the pass. I'm going to give you 6 minutes to do these. And as a hint, one of them is going to be infinitely many. One of them is going to be no solution. And one of them will have one solution.
One of each?
Yep. It is totally okay to talk with your people. All right. Did you guys figure out one of each? Good. On the back. I guess before we do that, and it's been a minute since we did any kind of brain break. I've been busy, I've been slacking, but I will make you more brain breaks so we can take a break from that. So for these, it's emoji Pictionary. Has anybody done this before? I mean, I feel like you guys can pretty much figure it out. So for this one, the category is fast food chains. So Taco Bell, yes. She should be good. You eat out all the time, right? Yeah, so you should be real good. Let's see if you can get these. Starbucks. Dairy Queen, yep. Okay, this one, I agree. I feel like Chili's is a totally valid answer. But the answer on this particular quiz was Chipotle. So she got it. I mean, they kind of have the same logo. Oh, what did I do? Mm-hmm. McDonald's, yes.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Subway.
Mm-hmm.
Burger King.
Burger King, y'all did good. You did good. All right, on to the back. It says a group of 18 people ordered soup and sandwiches for lunch. Each person in the group had either one soup or one sandwich. The sandwiches cost $7.75 each, and the soups cost $4.50 each. The total cost of all 18 lunches was 113, and there's a typo. It should be 113.50. Should be 113.50. So add to that, should be 113.50, typo, sorry. Did anybody get a question similar to this when they took TSI? I mean, you may or may not remember. But does anybody remember seeing these problems and maybe like, yeah, I've seen these problems, but I don't know how to do them. They're always confusing to me. I don't get it. Okay. So when we do these, the first thing we're going to do is write a system of equations. A system just means, in our case, most of the time, two. So we're going to write equations, and it says that, hint, money goes with money. And we're going to define our variables. When we do these, we're not going to use X and Y because when we get our answers, to me, it's confusing if you use X and Y when we're talking about soup and sandwiches. In this case, we can't really use S for soup because sandwiches is also with an S. So we're going to have to get a little creative. For soup, we could use a P, and for sandwiches, we could use a W. For soup, and then for sandwiches. So that is me defining the variable, saying which one is which. To write my system of equations, the numbers will go with the numbers and the money will go with the money. So it says 18 people ordered soup and sandwiches. So that means that we have soup and sandwiches, and there were 18 people that ordered. So the money part will go with the money part. It says sandwiches are $7.75 and soup is $4.50. Okay, well, soup is what I happen to write first. Soup is $4.50. And then the sandwiches are $7.75 for a sandwich. And the total is $113.50. So the money is going with the money. when you solve these, you're always going to get them as a multiple choice question. So I'm showing you how to check the answers. So if answer choice 1 would say like 7 sandwiches. So that's what we're checking. We're checking, could 7 sandwiches work? If we have 7 sandwiches, so not that, sandwiches is W. If W is equal to 7, then how many soups would you have to equal 18? 7 and what equals 18? $11. So 11 plus 7 equals 18. That equation works. But we have to check and see if the money works. So to check and see if the money works, we have 450 times 11. And then we have 775 times 7. And we're going to check it to see, does that equal 113.50? I don't know. So that's why I said you needed a calculator for today. So you're going to have to figure this out. Hello. Sure. Yeah, no problem. So we're going to go check these answers. So we're going to have to do 450 times 11, and you might need to jot it down because we just have a simple function calculator. And then we need to do 775 times 7. What do you get as your total? 103.75. Is that 113.50? No, that one does not work. So when it says y, you can show me y by putting a does not equals. It does not equal, so it does not work. The second one, we're going to check it the exact same way. So it says, is it possible that 8 sandwiches were ordered? I don't know. So if there are 8 sandwiches, then how many soups had to be ordered? 10, very good. 10. So that first equation, 10 plus 8 equals 18. That one's always going to work because we're going to figure out the number that makes it work. But the second one, we're going to check it. So we have 450 for the soups. And we're saying that we're going to check, can you get 10 of them? 775 were the sandwiches. And we're saying, can you get 8 of them? Does that equal 113.50? So you're going to type that in. And you got to be careful because you've got these simple function calculators. What did you guys get? So is it possible to get 8 sandwiches? Not gonna work. All right, you guys are gonna check the next 2. You're gonna use the same process. We're gonna check the next 2. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
So if you have nine sandwiches, then how many do you have?
So close. But we know that the rest of the
It's like, they're not for me to say. Look, I'm gonna tell you how I'm doing this. You look at it. Okay, I know it's something.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I don't even know who they are. I think they're district people. I don't know.
You're not doing it. I'm doing it. Well, he said he was confused. Well, why didn't you say that? No, that's. My mom.
You can multiply it. So, what do
My mom's told me to diet.
Thank you.
You must shake this down the same. The world.
Not the answer.
Were you able to figure out one of them that was equal to 113.50?
Yes.
Last one.
Yes. Good job. So the last question on here, a group of students attended a play. You have middle school students and you have high school students. So when you're defining variables for these, you can use like M and H because you've got middle school and you have high school. It says that middle school was $4, high school was $6. There were 100 students and there were $560. So when you have middle school and high school, they have to equal 100. And then for the money part, you'll set it up the same way where you've got $4 for your middle school plus $6 for your high school, and that has to equal 560. So you keep the money with the money, and you'll set that one up and solve it the same way that you'll go through and you'll check, okay, if M is equal to 18, if M is equal to 19, 20, or 21. That is all that I'm gonna do with you. You have to finish question 9 on your own, and then any of the others from the front that you didn't finish. And then we will grade our worksheet. We'll grade our worksheet in probably 20 minutes.
Oh, you want us to keep on going?
That's all we're gonna do together.